So I need to say this clearly. Domain authority is not a ranking factor, and neither is domain rating. Now, I know this might upset some people, but if you've been chasing it like it's the complete scorecard for your SEO strategy, well, we need to talk. Hey there, everyone. My name is Jake Serota. I'm the Director of SEO at Authority Builders, and this is Authority Builders Ranking Secrets. Now, if you want SEO explained by someone who actually runs campaigns and not someone who just rereads blog posts and regurgitates information, well, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. All right, so today, in this episode of Ranking Secrets, we're going to be talking about domain metrics. Domain authority, domain rating, trust flow, citation flow, authority score, all of these metrics that people use to evaluate SEO success. So we're going to be talking about what they are, what they're not, and how to actually use them without losing your mind. So here's the truth. All of these metrics are third-party metrics that are created by SEO tool companies. Moz created domain authority, Ahrefs created domain rating, Majestic has trust flow and citation flow, and SEMrush has authority score. So the important thing to remember is that none of these are coming from Google directly. Google has never confirmed that they use any of these metrics. And honestly, why would they? They're essentially educated guesses about how authoritative a website is based on normally backlink data, but sometimes other things, depending on the metric. Now, that doesn't mean that these metrics are useless, but it means you need to understand what they actually measure and how you can use them without becoming obsessed with them. So let's talk about what these metrics actually measure. Domain authority, like I said, is from Moz, and it's a score from 1 to 100 that predicts how likely a site is to rank. It's based on link data, specifically the number and the quality of backlinks pointing to your domain. And higher DA usually means better or more links. Now, domain rating from Ahrefs is similar, but it's calculated differently and uses different data. It focuses on specifically the strength of your backlink profile relative to other websites. And it's important to keep in mind that Ahrefs always tells us that it's logarithmic. That means that it's going to be significantly harder to get a website from DA 20 to 30 than it is to get a website from DA 10 to 20. Now on to trust flow and citation flow from Majestic. Trust flow measures link quality based on how trustworthy the sites that are linking to you are. And citation flow measures the link quantity. And the ratio between the two can oftentimes tell you if a website has a spammy link profile or is more white hat and clean. Now, authority score from SEMrush combines link data with traffic data from SEMrush as well, and a couple of other signals. And it's trying to give you a more holistic picture of the authority of your domain. So all of these are proxies. It's important to keep in mind. And they're trying to reverse engineer what Google might think about your website. But Google has way more data than all of these tools. So it's important to keep in mind that Google is not looking at these metrics that are created by third-party tools. Okay, now let's talk about what people get wrong when it comes to these types of metrics. The main problem that I see is that a lot of people view these as the end-all, be-all. They treat the scores like that is the only thing that matters in their SEO campaign. They think if they just get their DA from a 10 to a 20, they'll start ranking better. And sometimes that's true, but it's not because the number specifically has changed. It's because the underlying things that drive that number also happen to correlate with better rankings and better web visibility in general. So that's like thinking that a good credit score makes you rich. No, your financial habits make you rich, and a credit score is just a third-party metric to look at some of those things. So building quality links, creating good content that answers people's questions, and having a clean site structure will improve your metrics and your rankings, which at the end of the day, when you're investing in SEO, that's what you actually care about, not some third-party metric. I've seen sites with a DA of 15 outright sites with DA 60 just because they're doing things that the other website is not doing, like clear content structure, good internal linking, and fast site speeds. So keep in mind, Google ranks pages, not domains. Your DA doesn't automatically lift every single page on your site, but the history and overall profile of your domain can definitely affect how certain pages rank on your website. Okay, so let's talk about now how to actually use these metrics effectively. If they're not ranking factors, you might ask, why would you bother? Well, here's how to use them properly in a way that actually makes sense with your rankings. First, use them for competitive analysis. If your competitors have a DR of 50 and you're at a DR of 20, you know that you probably have a gap of authority and might need to focus on building some backlinks in order to close that gap. So that's useful information whenever you're planning your strategy and deciding what to do with SEO. Second, use them to evaluate link prospects. If you're building links manually, you want to have them from sites that have real authority. So a guest post on a website with a DR of 5 with no traffic really isn't going to move the needle. Compare that with a guest post from a website with a DR 50 and has real organic traffic. Well, that probably will make you look better in Google's eyes. The third way to use these metrics effectively is to use them to track progress over a long period of time. If your domain authority or rating is steadily climbing, that's a signal that the efforts that you're putting into your SEO are working. But in the same coin, you need to make sure that you're not obsessing over small little movements. Remember, growth oftentimes looks like this, not just a straight line like this. So if your domain rating goes from a 34 to a 32, don't sweat it. The thing that you need to keep track of is the long-term progress. Okay, now let's talk about some common mistakes that we see when it comes to what people do with these domain rating metrics or domain authority metrics. The biggest mistake that I see is that people want to pay money specifically to increase their DA and DR. And there are services that will pump up your domain rating with garbage links, honestly, and your numbers will go up, but your rankings will go nowhere, and now you have a spammy looking backlink profile. The second mistake is comparing equally across tools. So you need to keep in mind that a DA40 is from Moz is not the same thing as a DR40 from Ahrefs. You need to use the same metric consistently and track them over time to get a real picture of what's going on with your website. And finally, the third mistake would be ignoring page level metrics. Domain metrics are site-wide, like DA and domain rating, but rankings oftentimes happen at the page level. A single page with strong links can rank even if the overall domain is weak. So whenever you're looking into backlinks, not only should you be looking at the entire profile of your website compared to your competitors, but look at the people who are actually ranking for the terms that you want to rank for. That's what we call doing a link gap analysis. All right, so if you want to understand where your site actually stands compared to competitors, whether that be in AI search results or when it comes to the gap of links between you and the competitors who are outranking you, you can always book a call with our team. The link is in the description, and we'd be happy to show you some opportunities that we see with your website. All right, well, that just about does it for this episode of Ranking Secrets from Authority Builders. So make sure to drop a comment and tell me what metrics you're paying attention to now. How are you keeping track of them? Is it domain authority, domain rating, traffic? Let me know what you think, and also let me know if you have any questions. Final reminder, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Keep building that authority. Cheers.